Okay, welcome everybody. Second to the last meeting of spring 2022 Art 2.1. Hard to believe we got 17 weeks already down and one more to go, which of course is the final. And everyone knows it's Monday, not. You don't have to log in. You won't see an invitation from me on Wednesday. We have 5 days to study, and today our whole task is to review. In other words, go over what is and isn't going to be on the test, either both in terms of the slides from the syllabus, the must know, I call them slides, or study list, and the list of terms to know. Excuse me. I don't know about the rest of you, but pollen is really knocking me for a loop this spring. It's even worse, I think, here than it is in the East Bay. As you may hear me sneeze, notice a couple of times. All right, so we're going to get right to that process in a few minutes, and we're going to end earlier than usual for sure. But again, as always, I stick around after the last, necessary comment. In this case, there won't be any slides. We're not going to do a slide review because that's all on either my original YouTube channel under the original name without a number, or the ones from the midterm. Well, actually just about all the ones you need to study for the final are from after the midterm are on my other channel that I had to create a second YouTube channel, of course, and that's listed as number 2 after my name. I've noticed that people have been logging in. I assume that's mostly my own students to do that already. So by Friday, if not sooner, probably just to get ahead of the curve to give you more time, probably Thursday evening, I will post this session. All the previous sessions have been posted on YouTube of all the previous lectures. So you can do the review that way, of course, as you must have done, most of you, right? I assume, yeah, on your midterm. So the final, our last meeting next Monday, we'll start at 3, just as a recap. I've mentioned this the last session we had Monday, but I didn't record that session because we didn't cover, well, I did record it, but I'm not going to post it because it was all slides of my own, nothing from the syllabus. So you don't need to even see those. If you missed them, no big deal. It's not going to affect your grade. Point is that the test, our final exam here, as it says at the bottom of the syllabus, will be Monday, May 23rd, and the first slide will hit the screen at 3:15. So you want to log in by 3:10, so you're prepared with your notes, the syllabus, the list of terms, and any book you want next to you. Okay, so you're ready to just start when the first slide hits the screen. It's not, again, just like in the midterm, the same procedure, but just a recap. Not going to be recorded. It's in real time, so you need to attend. And then when the last slide is off the screen, I'm just going to remind you by email and one last time before we finish or even let's say before the first slide, when I start the exam, that you have until midnight if you needed to go back, check your answers, correct something, look up something. But midnight on Monday the 23rd is the deadline to submit as a PDF your exam forms. Hopefully you can have everything in one digital PDF file, but I realize sometimes people have trouble combining files. I totally understand that. So if you end up having to do, let's say, screenshots because you did it in in actual hand printed answers on the pages of the exam sheets, which you'll be sent, of course, the blank exam, 3 pages, same length, same number of slides, same sections, 5 slide IDs, 5 true false questions based on the definitions, and the third part is 3 slide essays where you do a brief analysis, all of which is written out on the exam sheet, and I'll remind you of that at the start of the before the first slide, and then an optional extra credit slide. Anyway, the point is you can do it either way, either digitally and send it in from a doc that you convert if it isn't already a PDF, or take screenshots and make that into a PDF file. And I did this before more than once, I think, but I'll do it again one more time. That's the way to submit it. Now, obviously, this is our 2.1. You can see I've been using the same, I've been rewrite it 3 different times, same slip of paper to get across the correct procedural requirement so that your test doesn't go astray or get filed in the to do later. You know, I obviously only have, I think it's 5 days. Yeah, it's 5 days after the last exam, 5 working days to get all the grades done, both the test grades, exam grades, the final, and your class grade. There's a lot of work to do in just a few days. So if you don't send in correctly, you're running the risk of possibly having not gotten correctly to me in my file logged in is the phrase I would use, that final 100-point exam. It's worth a quarter of your grade. You don't want that to happen. So please follow this procedure the way almost everybody did for the midterm. Labeling it art. 2.1 final exam, underline last name, comma, first name, and remember, please use the full first and last name that you registered under. So I'll have a record of that in my files. And of course, send it as a PDF too. If you want it to be logged in more quickly, especially if you ask me to confirm it, this is a much safer way to do it, to markw@aol.com. However, you can back it up, and there's no, and if you actually only send it to Outlook, I will almost certainly get it, but Outlook has had some issues. It's not my imagination or my low-tech skills. There have been some problems with campus email system this semester. And so I can tell you it's safer by far to send it to, if you only send it one place, to markw@aol.com. But if you want to back it up with one from the other site, and if you need me to confirm you got it, I may just do that anyway. Since this is not my largest class, when I have 40 students or so, I just don't have the time to do that unless somebody asks me to. So if you really want to be sure, you should say, please confirm you received this, and I'll do that as soon as I see it in my inbox. And I'll be checking those in the morning of Tuesday of next week, once everyone's deadline should have been, by midnight, your test, should have been sent in before the deadline. Okay, any questions about just the procedural aspects? There's no difference.
I have a question just about deadlines for other work. Is Monday the last day to submit any missing work or extra credit?
No, Monday's too late. I'm already giving tests and starting to grade them.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked. That's important. So now you got a little bit of a heads up. I was going to make it Friday. I'll give you till Saturday, because Sunday I'm doing this walking tour in Berkeley. I'm not going to hash the whole thing, but that's an option for 20 points. It's one of the easiest and I think most interesting and enjoyable. It does mean driving to Berkeley, but other than that, there's no work involved, no note taking. That's all Sunday. It's going to take my whole day. So I don't want to have to be thinking, uh-oh, if they didn't submit a paper and it's too late. And for your sake, in other words, try to get in by Friday. The latest I can accept them is Saturday. I'll send you an email. I extended a day. I probably shouldn't have, but I figure, okay, there's still 3 people. If you're one of those, you're not alone. I'm not going to call the names out. I did that already, I think last week, a couple of times, who need to get their second paper in. That's a quarter of your grade. So you want to get that in if you possibly can by Friday. And yes, you'll probably want me to confirm, but please actually ask that in the top line of your email. Please confirm you received this, and then you can breathe a sigh of relief. So you'll know I got it before the final, and then I can actually probably have it graded. See, if you turn in by Friday, I can't guarantee I'll have it graded before the tests start, though. Depends on how many late papers I get from my other classes. If it were just this class, I could guarantee that. So I don't think I can get the grades into you for your late papers if you haven't turned them in yet. Maybe, but probably not. I don't want to promise something then, because I've got 2 other classes. They're both bigger. And so I'm going to get more late papers from them. So my promise is before the end of final exams week to log in all of the grades for late work, and then extra credit. The deadline is the Saturday after the deadline for this class. So in other words, what day of the month is it? It will be really it's May 20th. Try to do it by midnight Friday, May 20th. That'll be much better and safer, more secure for you to get the credit and get the grade back sooner. But I'll probably accept if 1 or 2 papers, hopefully not all the late ones, come in Saturday, but I really need them no later than 6 p.m. Saturday, because then I can at least take a quick look at who's got them and confirm I received them. But again, I'm certain I won't be able to get all the grades back to all my late paper submissions until later after the finals. Because I'll probably be grading a couple of them while you guys are taking the final, because remember, I'm not going to lecture during the final. You guys are just writing your answers for each slide. It's an important question. So try to do it by Friday if you want me to confirm I got it, and maybe possibly get the grade done before the exam, or certainly before the following Friday. And then I'll be pivoting to grade dozens of finals from 3 classes. Okay, I hope that's clear. Any other questions about that deadlines? The extra credit I extend a week beyond the deadline for late work. So you have up to 60 points. And like I said before, the most anyone in this class has gotten is 20, I think, unless I've gotten a bunch of extra credit. I haven't checked my email today. So that you can still be doing either by coming to Berkeley. I'll send one more reminder with the details about that. By the way, if you do come to that tour, the people in the buildings, you would probably assume this. They do ask that everyone wear a mask while indoors. And it's not going to be a big group. I can tell you right now. I mean, it's not going to be 30 people like I used to have when I had 40 people in a class and in person back in the old days. Maybe 15 people. So it's not a big group, but still indoors, it is wise to always have a mask while you're inside. But everyone, I can tell you this, that I know of from my own students, as well as anybody I have now confirmed is coming who aren't students. There'll be some that are just invited because it's an event that's not part of the JC. Remember, it's not a sponsored field trip. That's an important detail for legal reasons. It's an event I do on my own, and you're welcome to join it and bring a friend. And the fee is $20, and you get 20 points extra credit if you're in my class, if you're in the class, So point is that everyone, as far as I know, and I know the people whose homes are letting us, or buildings that are letting us inside, they're all vaccinated and boosted, most of them. But still, masks are a wise thing. In fact, they requested that. All right. Any other questions about either late work, extra credit, or any other deadline related question, so we can get started on the review process? Okay, again, I'll check in with you one more time before we sign off. So let's take out our syllabi. Everybody should already have it right next to you. I will do this. I will hold it up to the screen. This is something I never did before, but my Monday night class, which is larger than this one, several students said, could you do it that way? Because we had a kind of a dicey connection or something, but it also makes it easier to be sure you got all of the slides crossed off correctly. Remember, we did the same thing before the midterm. I'm going to cut off or remove, cross off, I should say, or remove. It's right here in writing, and I always make promises that, in writing, so I am forced to keep them. 40% of the total number of slides that are on the second half of the syllabus from after the midterm. So we have to count, obviously, how many. So you want to do that with me? Fine. I'm going to do that now. How many total are there? And then do a quick calculation of what that means. What is 40% of the total? Then I'll know how many slides we need to cut, and we'll do that process together. Okay, so this second half begins with week 10, early Christian art. So let me count silently how many slides there were before we do the reduction. Okay. I get 46. I don't know if anybody else is also counting. So it's not as easy. I got to round up, of course, in your favor. Of what's 40% of 46? Well, 10% would be 4.6, right? So what is 4 times that? So 4 times 4. I know I should have a calculator in front of me. Old school. I realize most people use their phone. I don't have that kind of phone, so I'm just doing it in my head. But if you want to do it with me, multiply obviously 0.4 times 46, but I'm doing it in my head here. So let's just, I'm jotting it down. 4.6, right? 4, okay, that's 16, and 4, 2, 18. That would be at least 19. But I hate odd numbers, so I'm going to go one more. We'll make it 20. Okay, I'm going to cut 20 slides. That's more than 40%. All right, let's do that together. Unless somebody has another question, I think you will agree my math is accurate. Okay, all right, so we're going to cut 20 and I'll leave you only 26 slides to study, which is it's actually the lowest number I think I've ever had in the Zoom era for study list. All right, so remember what we're doing, going back to the first week, we're going week by week, slowly telling you which slides to cut, cross them off as I tell them to you. Then we'll go back and repeat the whole thing, all the way through to make sure you got the slides correctly. And I will then follow up by holding the syllabus, each page that we just cut some of those slides, each of those pages to the screen long enough that if you want to take a screenshot, you could, but you should be doing this actually physically so you get the right slides crossed off. Okay, everybody's clear. So let's go back up to the top of where week 10 starts. So head of Constantine, cross that off. The second one down from week 10. It's at the top of the page, okay? Head of Constantine. And then Santa Pollinaire from Ravenna, second from the bottom, okay? And then one more, the last one listed for week 10, Icon of Virgin in Christ from Istanbul, cross that out. We may have to cut more when we get to the end, we'll do the count after we finish with the last week's list. Okay, now moving on to week 11. Mosque of Sultan Selim, cross that out, from Turkey. And Great Mosque at Isfahan from Iran. So you don't have two great mosques to be concerned with. Since we have several mosques, I'm tempted to leave the blue mosque. Let me leave it for now. We may cut that if we have to go back and add more. Okay, for now, that's only 2 from week 11. Mosque of Sultan Selim and a Great Mosque at Isfahan. We'll probably cut another one, but let's move on and see where we're at when we get to the last week. Okay, week 12. Okay, doors, I think we even didn't cover this one, second from the bottom. The doors of Bishop Bernewald at St. Michael's. Quite a mouthful. Okay. And then Stag Staff from Sutton, who crossed that off to England. I hate to cut this one, St. Basil's Cathedral from Moscow, but the slide was, my daughter's reacting. It's one of my favorite buildings in the world, and one of the most famous, but I got to cut something else. And I do think it's important to have a variety of, well, you know what? Well, let's leave that on there for now. Let's leave it on there for now. And instead we'll cross off, because you have to do at least 3 from each week. Just doing the math in my head to get to 40%. So let's do the third one under week 12 for now. Leave St. Basil's and cross off cross page of Lindisfarne Gospel. Okay. So that gets us to 3 that we need at least for that week. Okay, week 13. Prophet Jeremiah, sorry, from the Church of Saint Pierre, the longest one at the top of this, cross that off. And the nave of Saint-Étienne at Caen, cross that off. We're going to almost have to add more when we get to the last week. We have to go back and do a few more, but let's see how it goes when we get to the last week's list. All right, now we're on the next page, week 14. Prophets and ancestors of Christ. Boring, so I shouldn't say that. Like that. It was one of the most stiff and unlifelike images you've seen this whole semester. So cross off the second from the bottom. Vaulted ceiling of Amiens Cathedral. Actually, it's kind of interesting, but it's a black and white slide. So we'll cross that one off. Let's see. Well, we're going to definitely cut more. I'm going to definitely cut at least 2 of the cathedrals. I promised you I'd do that, right? So moving on to week 15, Reims Cathedral, because it's similar in overall style to Notre Dame, Reims Cathedral. And then Dormition of the Virgin at Strasbourg Cathedral in France, cross that off. Okay. I need to cut at least 1 more cathedral. So Cologne Cathedral, cross that off. Cologne Cathedral, Germany. It's kind of a distant view and it's not accurate, the color on it, that slide. So there we go. That's 3 from week 15. And we'll repeat these all when we get to the final total of 20. All right, under week 16. The first one, Virgin and Child from Siena Cathedral, Bowman Seg. Now, I usually try to cut the longest named slides to give you guys a little bit of a break. February from the Book of Hours by the Lindbergh brothers. Cross that off. And then I'm going to go ahead and cross off, even though I like both these places and recommend if you're ever in Virginia or Massachusetts to go see the real ones, because they're the only bits of medieval architecture that we have that's not recreations or movie sets in the United States, but they're not as important as some of the others. So take the last two under week 16 and cross off both of them. St. Luke's Church from Virginia, and last, Parson Capen House in Massachusetts. Okay, let's see how many we've cut. It's probably not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. 18, so we need to cut 2 more. Okay. We've cut so much from week 12, but I'm thinking there might be one more. Well, we already have 2 mosques for let's go to week 11 and cut one of those. I think
Cut
over
19, but
pardon?
I thought we cut 19 so far.
19, I thought it was 18. Let's count again. Okay, that's what we're here for. 1, 2, 3. It is 19. You're right. It is 19. So one more. I don't know. I was going to say something about the integrity and honesty of my students. I'm serious, though. I'm not being flippant. That is a quality that, believe me, later in life will stand anyone who has that quality. For instance, in a restaurant when you over or underpay or something, and you realize that, tell the wait person, thank you. You're right. Let's make it an even 20. That's already more than 40. So let's just cut one more. And it's a struggle in my mind between St. Basil's Cathedral or the Blue Mosque of Istanbul. But I'll cut the Blue Mosque because we have 2 other mosques. How's that? Because I was said I'd cut more, cathedrals too, and I already did that. All right, everybody got that? Week 11, cross off the Blue Mosque from Istanbul. And we are now at that number I said we needed to, rounding up in your favor, which is 20 slides out of 46. That only leaves you 26 to study from, of which roughly a third will be actually on the final. But again, being an open book test, it shouldn't be too difficult, but you do need to study since the test isn't recorded and it's in real time. Let's restate those slowly, week by week. Double check your own, handiwork of crossing out and make sure you have the same list. And then I'll hold them up each page slowly. It's only really 2 pages that I'll hold up to the screen, long enough to take a screenshot if you choose to. Okay, so week 10, we're cutting 3. The head of Constantine from Rome. Sant Apollinaire, it's a church from Ravenna. Don't think we even covered that, did we? And then the last one is the icon of Virgin and Christ from Istanbul. Okay. Moving on to week 11, it's 3. Blue Mosque at Istanbul. Mosque of Sultan Selim from Turkey. And the Great Mosque in Isfahan, Iran. Okay. Week 12, we're cutting 3. Stag Staff from Sutton Hoo in England. Cross page of Lindisfarne Gospel from England. And the doors of Bishop Bernewald at St. Michael's in Germany. Okay, week 13, we're cutting 2. Prophet Jeremiah, say that fast, Prophet Jeremiah from the Church of Saint-Pierre, France, and the nave of Saint-Étienne from Cannes. Moving on to the last page, week 14. 2. vaulted ceiling of Amiens Cathedral from France, and Prophets and Ancestors of Christ from Chartres. Okay, week 15. 3, Reims Cathedral from France, Cologne Cathedral from Germany, and the Dormition of the Virgin at Strasbourg Cathedral in France. That's the one where all the guys' heads look exactly alike. And then finally, 4 from week 16, Virgin and Child from Siena Cathedral by Boonen Segna. February from the Book of Hours by the Lindbergh Brothers. St. Luke's Church from Virginia, and the Parson Capon House from Massachusetts. Everybody got the same list, right? Anybody have a one they didn't get? Because I'm going to hold them up in a minute, but let me just get my throat a little bit limber here. Okay, so here is, won't take long, since my other classes, it's like 5 pages I have to hold up, because of the way this class is structured, that all the second half of the must-know slide list are on the last 2 pages. So here we go. This should be legible, I should say, not visible. Legible. If I hold it up, well, it might be a little difficult. And you see which ones are crossed out. There we go. That's better. I give you like 30 seconds or something, so you can, if you choose.
I've got a quick question on week 10.
Right, go ahead.
I can't really see it that well right there. Is it the Saint Anthilaire from Ravenna that we crossed out, or the
Santa
other one?
Apollinaire, yeah.
Oh, Apollinaire. I can't see it because I crossed it out already.
Well, I'll get it up closer.
Okay.
Maybe this is
All right.
better. I think that's a good point you raised, because it is harder to see here. At home, somehow the lighting is at night, at least when I did it on Monday night for that 1.1 class, they were able to read them more easily, but it's good you brought that up. So let's do half a page. I mean, we have plenty of time. We're still in quite early. We only have one other task, and that's a list of terms, but I'll hold this up now. You can see more clearly each of the weeks, right, of the first 2, week 10 and week 11. Okay. With another 10 to 15 seconds if you want to just do it by hand or take a screenshot or both. Okay. Okay, and then here's the second half closer. So hopefully if I hold it steady and frame it correctly, we should be, yeah, there we go. You see all of week 12 and 13. I'll hold it up for 1 minute. Yeah, I think that's about a minute. And then we'll do the same with the last page. I'll do it in 2 segments so you can see them, larger and more legibly, more clearly. Okay. So the top 2 weeks are going to be, whoops, let's get closer. Right. Week 14 and 15. There we go. That's better. I'll hold it up for about 45 seconds. Okay, and then the final segment, which is only 1 more week, week 16. Okay, that's got to be a full minute. All right, we're done with that part of the procedure. Now, of course, you should have next to your laptops or phone. I guess some of you watching on the phone, or tablet. device you're using, the list of terms to know. So we have to do the same thing. I'm not cutting 40% of this list. It's not that long to begin with. 30% is reasonable. 3 out of 10. In other words, it's more than 10, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. We got to start by getting a full count of how many there are before we do the reduction. And as you may recall, the last term you had to study for the midterm was triumphal arches. So if you'll flip back to the page with, the Roman terms from Roman. So everything below triumphal arches is the list you need to study for the final, which we're not going to reduce by, let's say, 30% or so, roughly a third. Okay, counting how many terms. Now, the list count as a term because I should explain this. The true false, I think we did this. Yeah, well, the Romans, the list of things invented by Egyptian Romans, it could appear. I might say in one of the 5 true false questions. Let's see, the 3 main features of Greek Orthodox churches were a Greek cross floor plan, apses, and flying buttresses. Obviously, that'd be false because the last is not part of Greek Orthodox. So that's how you'll see these. It's the same what I did with the true false questions relating it to the terms. So we're going to cross off the ones you don't need to study. But don't forget that some of the slides might have as part of the meaning an aspect of one of these terms I crossed off. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? You won't be asked as a standalone true false question, but you might need or want to use that information. For instance, with Gothic architecture, I'm not going to cut that list, but I might cut something, like cupola or something. Well, that's actually for several types of architecture. And even if I do that and you get a slide of, let's say, that church complex, cathedral complex in Pisa, Italy, with the Leaning Tower, there's a cupola on the church on the top. And so it could be part of the meaning, even though I might cut that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and cut that definition from the list. Before we proceed, I want to make sure that's clear. You see what I'm saying? The definitions I have us all together now, cross off, you won't see on the true false, but they could in some way come up on the slide essays, slide analysis, if they're part of the formal elements of the meaning. I think it's pretty clear. The same thing applied in the midterm. All right, let's count how many there are, and then we'll calculate how many I need to cut to get to 30%. Okay. It's 18, so 6. That'll be a full third. There's not that many terms to begin with, but I do want to give you this promised reduction. So let's do this together. Okay, so turn back to the page where near the top of the list of Roman things, of course, we're starting with what's below that. So the first term to cross off under mosaics, leave that on, is icon. Icon. It could still come up, but it won't be unless I'm forgetting my own. I've already started making up the tests. So once, I'll go ahead and tell you this, I don't mind admitting this, once about every 2 years, I've had both in the Zoom era and in in-person classes, a situation where I had 3 different sets of slides and test questions, and I forgot that on one of them I crossed off something and it appeared on the definition section, and then I give you the answer. If that happens, that's a gift. Everyone will get it right. I doubt that will happen, but if I slip up like that, you aren't going to suffer. I will promise you. If that happens, I doubt it, because I have to get all the tests made, including the extra credit questions, over the next 2 or 3 days. Besides getting ready for that walking tour on Sunday, and logging in late paper. You understand? All right, let's move to the next page. I'm going to cross off apps. There again, that one is very likely to appear in one of the, I'm not saying it will, as part of the meaning or formal elements of one of the slide essays, but it won't appear on the definitions. Okay, so top of the next page, cross off apps. Okay, the illuminated manuscript, cross that off. Staff, right below it, cross that off. So we're at 4 now, right? Moving on to the next page. Cupola, cross that off. I left slides that are related to all three of the last terms. So this I know I'm not going to forget or make it, an assumption, a near wrong assumption. Decorated style, that relates to the meaning of Salisbury Cathedral, still on the study list. Perpendicular style, I left the Chapel of Henry VII. So that term you should study. And international style relates to the paintings at the end, the last week that we just covered. So let's cross off flamboyant style because I took out the cathedral that shows that style. That would be Reeves Cathedral. We'll cross that off. So that's 6. Let's repeat that list. And we're basically done, except for any questions you might have, and a couple quick reminders for you. But let's do this one last thing together. Okay, so flip back to the page where we started under a bit beneath. Whoops, I went too far. The triumphal arches. The next one, or first one you cross off for this test. The final is icon. It's that one. Now on the next page, it's 3. Apse, illuminated manuscript, and staff. And then on the last page, it's 2 more. Cupola and flamboyant style. Okay, so that's 6. Everybody got that? Anybody? I don't think I need to hold. Do you want me to hold up the pages? I could do that. Might as well. That won't take too long. But it's only 6, so it shouldn't be too hard to get those straight. But anybody have any questions if they're not clear? First page, it's just icon. So I'm just going to show you up close. That way you can make sure you have the right one in case you weren't sure before. Okay, icon. Just the one on this whole page. So all those lists, I don't cross them off because, like I said, they're almost certain one of them at least to appear on as it did before with a list of Egyptian and Roman slides. Where I say this things invented by Muslims, for instance, I might say true, false, included, and then I'd list 2 or 3 things. And if I said universities, street lighting, and let's say aqueducts. No, that was the Romans. So that would be false, right? You get the idea. All right. On this one, it is 3. I better hold it a little more steady and get it a little closer. Oh, it's hard to see, so let me move over. So it's always counterintuitive, right? Apse at the top, the first term, and then 2 in a row near the bottom. Aluminum manuscript and staff. Okay, for that second page. Second to the last page of the list of terms. And then finally, the last page, it's 2 more, and then that's it, a total of 6. And those 2 are, sorry, I forget, so it's not crooked. There we go. Cupola and flamboyant style. 20 more seconds in case you're just doing the process now before we finish up, and then I'll take any questions anybody has. Anything related to the test or extra credit or late work or grades in general. Okay, I think we've covered everything we need to for you to have adequate information to study effectively. All right, but now we'll be, well, I'll stick around after the last slides off the screen like I have in every class. I do hope I'll see a few of you on, I'm talking about next semester. All the courses are posted on, the campus website now. I believe that's right. Anyway, I know all 3 of mine, I'm teaching 3 different courses, the same one. Of course, you don't need to take that one again, ever, hopefully. But then also world art, which is a whole different kind of overview of other non-Western cultures and Western art, both the ancient world art and the Renaissance to modern world art. Art 1.1 and 1.2, they're both very interesting courses with slides from all over. And hopefully you'll be able to, if you want to take another art history class, one of those is in person, that's 1.1, Wednesday nights here in Annalee Hall, where I am now. And I think they said they're gonna open the cafeteria. Well, they have again, I guess, part-time. But anyway, and the library, so student services should be back to normal, barring an unforeseen calamity of some kind, according to the administration's our faculty website. I think you students have got that too. That our intention is to almost fully reopen with some exceptions. Well, the exceptions are art history lecture classes. Some of them I will be teaching 2 online ones, and the one you didn't take will be the 1.2, which is all the way from what we finished, the Renaissance we didn't get to, starting with Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and all the way up through Van Gogh and Gauguin, and even up to Frank Lloyd Wright. And the 2 architects we're going to see on the walking tour if you come, which are Julia Morgan, the first woman architect in America with her own office. One of her buildings is in Berkeley. Well, many of them are, that we're going to see Sunday. And the other is Maybach, who founded the architecture program at Berkeley and is the first green designer and did the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, is his most famous building. So hopefully I'll see a few of you in the fall. If you want to enroll, you should probably think about it, and then sometime before mid-August, go ahead and sign up for any classes you want to take. All right, and maybe I'll see a few of you on Sunday. You'll get one more email with the details about the walking tour. Okay, it's been a pleasure. To the good comments and feedback and questions. I welcome those, as you know. So one more time before we see each other for the last time in this semester on Zoom on Monday, don't forget to log in by 3:10 at the latest so that you could be ready for when the first slide hits the screen at 3:15. But at this point, I think we've covered everything that we need to before the test. But I'm going to stick around, as I always do, with any of you who have any questions at all that I haven't already answered relating to, other than what is on the test. Obviously, I'm not giving away that information, but you know what's not going to be. Okay, any questions at all about the class, the test, late work, deadlines, extra credit? Anybody? Now's your chance. Okay, well, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to have a two-way process. That's how I always teach. So you can count on not being muted in my other classes if you ever take one. All right, see you guys on Monday, and good luck with your studying. And maybe I'll see a few of you on Sunday. The deadline, by the way, for the tour to RSVP is set. I will put in an email, is pushed back a day because some people don't know what they're going to do on the weekend until the weekend happens. So anytime up till Saturday evening, you could still decide to come if you want. I do need to have an RSVP though, because I have to tell the people in the buildings we're going to go see how many are coming. So maybe again, I'll see a few more of you there, but if not, I'll see you all on Monday, and I will log everyone in at 3:03, and the first slide will be on the screen at 3:15. All right, that's it. Last call. Any questions? Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
Thank you. See you on
Good luck.
Monday.
Thank you.
And good
Thank
luck
you.
on the test. Thank you.